I did a video earlier this year on how to prune a Corylus avellana. It didn't have any leaves on it at the time, but it had. You could see clearly the structure of it. What I wanted to do was show you how to enjoy the tree or a large shrub in its entirety. And a lot of people don't realise with contorta that you get this kind of look about it. Now this tree was very mature when I got here. But I knew I wanted to give it a more interesting shape, and I knew it had a cracking shape already under there because I'd already seen it without the leaves on. But I knew it was well too contorted, to be quite honest. It just had too much going on. And the good old saying, you can't see the wood for the trees, definitely fitted on this occasion. So I set about changing it, doing little bits and bobs, and took off some major limbs. So I took these major limbs off, and I've done quite a lot of them. Now what I was going to show you was how we need to remove things, how we need to remove the regrowth, and we do get regrowth on these things, and it comes back with vigour. And I knew this was going to happen because I pruned it in the winter time, which was the correct time to prune it. You don't want to do sort of this mass pruning at that time. You know, it's a heavy pruning I was set to do, and I was taking off some massive branches. This one in particular was absolutely huge, but it needed to go. And although in itself it had some interesting look, it was spoiling all the rest of this. So something has to give, and the decisions were taken at the time to remove these big massive branches. Now, I said you would get a lot of regrowth. And I was going to show you how to deal with it. Now these are little bits of regrowth that we've got, and it's had loads all over it already, and I've already removed some because you've got to keep on top of this thing, but I've left some on for the purpose of this video so I can show you how to deal with the rest of it. So basically all you're trying to do, I mean, these are tiny little regrowths, these are, but these are quite big. Now I've already taken a lot bigger sections off than this. There's another big section here we need to take off, and all you simply do is you pull down and remove it, and you're left with that. Now the reason for doing that is to stop and prevent regrowth at those particular points. You don't want that, and you must keep looking around for little bits and bobs of regrowth, and there's lots here. There's tiny little regrowths that you don't spot at first, and this will carry on all summer, this, until it's exhausted itself, really. So there's more of them here, so we can remove those, and again you just pull it down, little bit left there, just pull it off with your thumbnail and your finger, and again there you just simply grab it like I'm doing it there, and I'm pulling down and away, and it's gone. That should not come back now. If it does, I shall deal with it again at that point. Now sometimes you're left with these little straggly bits that you can see in here. Tiny little straggly bits. You can try and get those off if you can. Don't worry too much about little bits like that. You can deal with those at a later time. Now there's some even bigger pieces up here that are trying to form new branches. Now this would become a new branch, and there wouldn't be a problem with that. And if I wanted it to carry on with that branch, I'd allow it to form and see what it does. But I'd already got the shape in itself correct and 100% to what I wanted it. So I don't want these little branches. I want them gone. So we shall take those off as well. Now here, this is why you have to go around reevaluating it. I left a stub here, and it was partly because I wanted to see what would happen, but partly I wanted to leave the effect of it. And it's grown these massive branch bits off of the top. So again, all I'm going to do is simply remove it. That's a lot bigger branch in it, as you can see. Get rid of those. And again, we've got some little branches here. We'll remove those as well, and we just keep removing, and we keep removing as much as we can see. And if you look up there, you can see more. Now there'll come a point when I'm going to have to get the ladders out and do this. Today's not that day. It's a hot day today. In fact, I'd be better off underneath here doing this sort of work because it keeps me shaded, but I'm not going to. Again, I can reach these. Here we go. See that section there? That's actually further up. I'll show you where it is. It's there. It attaches to the branch, so I can reach that and we can pull that off. and there goes another piece. Now I've got lots of these different bits and bobs going on in little sections that you wouldn't really, if you was quite a novice at doing this, you won't really be looking for this. But I've got these little snagging points. So to the right here, that's a little snagging point. Now the best thing to do with that would be to get that back as far as I can now. So take it to the branch that I've decided to leave on and get it as far back to there as I can. I'd remove that snagging point there. And there's one or two snagging points around here. Now, when I've got a bit more time, it's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually remove these sections. Although they look interesting at the moment, it's going to continually grow little bits and bobs from that. So I'd be happy to remove that with a saw, a pruning saw, a mini chainsaw that you can buy. Whip that section off. In summer, it shouldn't be a problem, but if you was doing this in winter, that's where your regrowth would start. Now, in this case, there's no regrowth here, but there was regrowth at the back of it. Simply remove them. Now, at the bottom, a lot of these Corylus avellana contortas are root stocked onto a normal Corylus, which is the straight one. And that's exactly what's been done here. And you can see these bigger branches that are forming. Now, this happens every single year and will continue to happen on your own one as well. And again, you've got to try, get in there early. I didn't get in here early enough because I was busy doing a lot of the other gardening at the same time, and some things get forgotten, don't they? You never really get round to them. But you must get in as quick as you can and start ripping them off. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. So all I'm going to do over the next couple of days, I shall go back, reevaluate it. All of this lot down here at the base, every bit of it will be gone. There'll be none of that left. You don't want that. You don't need it. All that'll do, it'll go up in the air. It'll form straight sticks, and it'll find its way. If you left it for 4 or 5 years, it would definitely find its way all the way through there and up through the main canopy. And again, you would lose all this beauty of this. There's the other branch I showed you from the other side. This is the side where it was growing. You can see there's little bits in there that are growing, so I shall remove it there. I shall take that off. I shall maybe reevaluate this little clump here, this little knuckle, and I may go in tight and get rid of that as well. But for now, I may leave it as well. I may just leave it alone. We've got one down here, what was growing as well, but these are relatively easy to sort out. You can see them quickly, so sometimes you just got to leave it and let it seal itself up and seal itself over. This particular one here never grew anything, so that's been sort of 100% successfully pruned back without it causing a problem. But really, I could take that off and get rid of that as well, that knuckle, and that would sort that. So that's what you must do. You must remove all the new regrowth, because if you don't, it's going to form a new branch, and that branch in, say, 5 to 10 years will be the new problem for you. While we're still on, let's show you another one. There's one there that's growing off this branch, and look at the size of this one. So that's already grown that amount, which is about 1.5 foot, nearly 2 foot long, off of that knuckle. And this is one of the problems with leaving these little knuckles on. They look interesting in winter while you've done it, and that's fine. But as summer comes, that knuckle there causes a problem. Again, I shall come out with a pruning saw and I shall take that off as well, because it's trying to grow new branches. Now, the other thing that I have to watch out for on this is that it has an annoying habit of actually dropping down. That section there will drop down. It'll pull down towards the ground. I use this as an access point, an access path to mow behind my borders, and this will just cause me a problem long term. It did last year, and the year before I had to prune it at least 3 times to get that back up. And what you must do in this case, you can either simply go across with your edge trimmer, nip it back and make it level, or you can go back up the branch itself, those branches, and you can find a point where you'd be happy to lose it. In this case, I'd be happy to lose it there. I'd chop it off there and get rid of that, and it would get rid of this droppiness, and then it would form more of a tunnel shape for you. So we'll step back. Now, have we got any dead bits? We have. We've got a little bit of a dead bit here I've just spotted. Now, this is a branch, and this will happen naturally. It'll occur all the time. You'll get little branch diebacks, and that's a little branch dieback. We pull that off, and yes, it's dry as a bone in there. So that's practically had it. So that's never going to come back again. So we'll take those, we'll find those and remove those as well. If you're not used to doing this sort of thing, don't worry. What's the worst that can happen? You can chop the wrong branch off and a new one will reform, and you'll have to just shape it differently. Here's a good example of what I was just talking about. This is dropping beyond where I want it. This little section here. It's coming too far down, so I would simply I'd remove it with secateurs, but you know, I think I could actually snap this off while I'm actually here, and you can remove all of that. So immediately you've got rid of that one that was causing the problem, dropping down too far, and it will cause problems within the border. So try and deal with that. So once you've done that, you've dealt with all the regrowth, you've re-evaluated the shape, you've taken out further branches if it's required, then you can pretty much leave it alone. Sometimes I will feed this. I'll put some compost around the bottom, some well-rotted manure, farmyard manure, whatever you can get your hands on. Soil conditioners are probably better, which farmyard manure really is. Put it to the base. You can put it on in summer if you wish. Best time is autumn time. Give it a little bit of a feed, fish, blood and bone. A handful of that would help it as well. Just keeps it going. And you end up with something as stunning as that. So that is the Corylus avellana contorta. If you look through my videos, you will see what I did to it in winter and how I pruned it then. So thanks for looking. Talk to you again soon. Ta-da.